Happy Friday, parish orphans and retrogrades. The date is March the 21st, and March has turned out to be International Women's Month. President Trump went from having an International Socialist Women's Day, which was the 8th, I think, to making the entire month International Socialist Women's Month. And I don't know if it's a coincidence or what, but this month has been very, very, very active for feminists, particularly Catholic feminists. 2 weeks ago, on March the 7th, Lila Rose, many of you know her from her pro-life work, which is, of course, we salute the pro-life work she did before she got married, which is a big part of the topic today. She did a show on like the myth of the housewife, where she makes the claim that husbands did not leave the home for work before the year 1940, that this is a totally modern concept, that husbands support the family by leaving the home for work. Absolutely preposterous.
Everybody owned farms, I guess. That's all, no factories.
There
no
was
steel.
No farms.
Nothing of the sort.
No steel. No medieval trades. There was no lawyer. There was no doctor to speak of. There was no banker, even though she mentions lawyers and bankers. We're going to read how old those professions are. They're like 4,000 years old or older. She's got this, nice mien where she seems pleasant, but she seems pleasanter than the other Catholic feminists, pleasanter than Bakioki, than Carrie Gress, than Abigail Favale, than Abby Johnson. All of most of the women in the Catholic world that have made a name for themselves are feminists, and she seems nicer. But the funny thing is, she keeps calling out, "Hey, I'll debate anyone. I'll debate anyone." She said that before. She's been in our stream comments, I believe. And I'm like, just come on, but she won't do it. One of the clips from today's show, I only grabbed a few. I have like 40 from that show. We just need to do it because the more specific, the better. I said, bring your butchering gloves. We're going to piece by piece, like disembowel the lies, outright lies that Lila says. She, as we go through. This is her introduction to the show. On a lot of podcasts, you have that summary word that's maybe from the middle of the episode. This is what we heard there.
I don't know if I can hear it because I don't have earphones.
Oh.
Provider, mom stays at home is very modern. It's very recent. And quite frankly, I would argue it can be. This is one of the points I'm most passionate about. The number one responsibility of parents is, all right, so what is the solution, you might be asking? Well, I think it's really important, and this is my next point, that we look at. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Lila Rose Show. All right, we discuss on the show, as you guys know.
Okay, so that you didn't hear any of that.
Thank God.
Okay, so what she said here that's simple is that the idea of men going out and earning bread is very recent, very modern. That's the direct quote. Very recent, very modern. And she's going to go on to her. I don't know if she's legitimately hoodwinked herself or what, because the common conception in this area is actually correct, that men have always been the breadwinners and they leave the home to do so, and that women stay behind at home and do not win bread. Do you want to take a first crack at this? It seems especially dishonest because she's claiming to do a debunk, like a Snopes debunk, and eventually, more or less virtually what she's doing is being Snopes, who is a fake debunk site. They'll take something that's a true news break and they'll say that's false. That's been proven false, and they never prove it false. That's what she's doing. So it seems especially lying the way it does on Snopes.
So she's trying to discredit the entire notion of anyone being at home, right? I'm not understanding what her entire point is.
Yes, she's saying explicitly that the woman being at home and the man being away during the day is not
idea of man.
You can hear it right there.
Provider, mom stays at home is very modern. It's very recent. And quite frankly,
provider, mom stays at home is very recent, very modern, and she slurs it as basically being a modernist idea. Now, here's something. The legal profession with roots in ancient Greece and Rome has a history spanning millennia, with the first recognizable lawyers being the orators of ancient Athens and Rome. In ancient Athens, individuals were sometimes expected to plead their own cases, but the practice of having a friend or orator assist developed. So this goes back at least 2,500 years. During the Dark Ages, the legal profession declined in Western Europe, but reemerged in 12th and 13th centuries with experts in canon law. By the 1200s, the English system saw the emergence of barristers who had shops. Okay, so they did not practice out of their own homes typically. I'm not saying they never once did this, but barristers had their own shops.
So they didn't practice law like in their bathroom.
No.
Or on like
front porch.
Or their front porch.
Now Erica Bakioki is a mother of
7.
We
both have 7 kids.
And I think she said she's a lawyer from home. Lila is, whatever she is, a media person who runs a company that I think has 50 people. And the basic cope that's just, it's really evil, is she says kids are awake about 75 hours a week during the day. I don't know how she tabulated it, but as long as you have a bare majority, this isn't a direct quote, but this is the math she adduced. As long as a mom spends like what amounts to 38 out of those 75 hours and a nanny spends 37, you're good. This is really what she says throughout that thing. I'll play you that clip when we get to it. But I would just say the idea of the woman staying at home is not at all modern. The idea of the man leaving for work is absolutely ancient. She mentioned lawyers and then just forgets that lawyers are at least 2,500 years old. The profession of banker, or its earliest forms, can be traced back to around 2000 BC. So that's 4,000 years old. She mentioned that one. The profession of physician in some form has existed for, according to AI, tens of thousands of years. You guys are going to be
because everybody knows when someone's deathly ill, you just say, just get on your belly and crawl to my house so I can treat you.
Yeah. Like,
I'm not leaving my house when there's sick people as a doctor.
Like Tom Hardy and Lawless.
They come to me, okay, in my house.
Right,
you have a heart attack, you get your butt in my kitchen.
Your throat gets cut, your jugular's cut, and you crawl into town. Yeah, get to my front porch. Evidence of early medical practices dating back to prehistoric times, including cave paintings, the old cave painting thing. So they say 27,000 years. Then I just asked, okay, so in the medieval shops, think of Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. All of the various trades listed in Canterbury Tales. Everyone knows that's a famous, late medieval time period piece. Blacksmiths, carpenters, tailors, cobblers, tanners, saddlers, silversmiths, jewelers. They all had their own workshops where they crafted goods and sold them directly. Merchants often had stalls or shops in marketplaces. Think of the Agora in Greece, or think of the Forum in Rome, which I used to pass every day when I went to, was beginning the PhD there in Rome. Food producers, butchers, bakers, and winemakers had their own businesses, often with shops or stalls. This was called the Agora, or the marketplace. It's thousands upon thousands of years old. It was men interacting at the Agora. Not women weren't out and about. It was men, by and large. I guess single women had to do it some. Out and about, whether you're low middle class, middle class, bourgeoisie, or a merchant, or one of the elites who I guess went into work. I would just say it's hard to get around the notion. We're not going to spend this much time on each one, but it's hard to get around the notion that Lila is willfully deceiving people. She literally will say, I'll grab that quote really soon, that before 1940, this just never happened. This is Casti Canubi, paragraph 74. Let's see if, Pope Pius, this is in the year 1930, Pope Pius is lying, according to Lila. Same false teachers who try to dim the luster of conjugal faith and purity do not scruple to do away with the honorable and trusting obedience which the woman owes to the man. Many of them go further and assert that such a subjection of one party to the other is unworthy of human dignity. This is more a Bakioki type argument. That the rights of husband and wife are equal. So Pius is saying it's a lie to say husband and wife have equal rank or equal rights. They don't. Wherefore, they boldly proclaim the emancipation of women has been ought to be effected. That I'm sorry to say that was actually John Paul II said he liked This was cited in last Friday's Wall Street Journal. He liked women's lib. John Paul II said some really evil things. Back to Pius. This emancipation in their ideas must be threefold. In the ruling of domestic society, remember these, ruling of domestic society, administration of family affairs, and the rearing of the children. That is social, economic, physiological. Pius is condemning all these. Physiological, that is to say, the woman is to be freed at her own good pleasure from the burdensome duties. He was responding to feminism, which was alive and well in 1930. Properly belonging to wife as two offices: companion, mother. Husband's priest, prophet, king. Wife's companion, mother. Social, inasmuch, you're going to hear a lot of this from Lila. Social, inasmuch as the wife being freed from the cares of family and children should, to the neglect of these, be able to follow her own bent and devote herself to business and even public affairs. This is Lila's main argument. She goes back and forth on whether women, in her podcast from March the 7th, can work outside the home, but she says women should develop economic skills. And Pope Pius is condemning it right now. Well, yeah, why? I mean,
why?
The ironic thing is some women do, like you actually kind of have, but she's saying women should.
Boring.
They are boring. And she should be able, in Pope Pius is condemning almost the exact words that Lila says, that women need to be able to follow her own bent and devote herself to business and even public affairs. I'll play the clip from this. And then economically kind of doubles up on the condemnation from Pius, whereby the woman, even without the knowledge and against the wish of her husband, may be at liberty to conduct and administer her own affairs, giving to her attention chiefly to these rather than her children, husband, and family. This is not the true emancipation of women. And he goes on and says some other things. Here's the second Lila quote. Okay, so I'll
Maybe I'll
play
just
this.
lean in, try to hear.
Yeah,
Lean in.
we have a thing.
For today's
I know, it's so
episode,
lost.
I wanted to tackle this topic and go through sharing my personal views on this, which I think involves some principles that are key as well as some nuance, but really provide a guide for any woman who may be thinking through, how should I set up my life? Should I set up my life to be that stay-at-home mom, no work outside the home, period? I'm the primary caretaker. Should I set up my life so that I can also have a career, or part-time career, full-time career? What about the raising of my kids? All of these things I think are key questions that need to be asked and answered. And whether you're married right now and you're working an arrangement,
So why don't you just reply to that, Steph? She's posing this as a lifestyle accoutrement, as an opinion, a choice, a subjective thing, rather than something that has been condemned by all of the popes and a duty and one of the literal catechetical duties of a wife to remain home, which she and Bakioki mocked on today's podcast. They mocked the catechism where it says wives need to be home.
Listen, I get it. It's difficult to be a good Catholic, a good Christian person. Sometimes we have to deny our impulses and our preferences and conform ourselves to Scripture and what God created us for. As women, it's very clear throughout Scripture. Multiple verses. Church fathers and scholastics agree. Woman was made from man for man. There is absolutely no daylight in that claim. It is 100% fact. And then when we go further into what a woman's duty is after she becomes married, it becomes even clearer what the duties are. And I know that most women out there have been sold a big pack of lies or were shamed into thinking that you're not valuable unless you contribute economically to your household or to society. But I'm telling you right now, most of the younger women in this society, and this is why Lila's doing this stuff now, is because most young women nowadays aren't buying this crap anymore. Yep. They're realizing, what? Like, who wants to work? No one wants to work. I feel bad for men that they have to work. Work sucks. Being at home, being with your family, your children, I haven't missed a moment of my child's any of their milestones. I have been there for everything. And you couldn't pay me enough money or give me enough acclaim, which is another part of the problem with these modern working women. They're out for their own acclaim, their own success, all their vainglory, all this stuff, to be absent away from my children and to serve my husband. And most modern women nowadays, not most, but a lot of younger women, they're like, yeah, you older gals, you might have fallen for this and got shamed out of the household, but not me. And I'm proud to be at home. And I stand up for women who are like, no, working sucks, this is stupid.